So let's do it proper. Excellent. All right. Like I said, guys, welcome to Red Morning. Gonna have a wonderful topic for you guys right now. There we go. Get everything back in motion. Topic today was going to be leadership. And I love the term leadership because everybody gets it wrong. And it's like calling somebody alpha. They always just fill that up with whatever makes them feel good. So I thought, why not do an episode around it on these trying times? What's going on, Bruce? What's going on, Francie? Diego? Yeah, in these trying times, it's been a horrible event, and I hope everybody's doing okay with their families in there. The world is just not the safe place that I thought it'd be. If you guys don't know, Kenny Rogers passed yesterday, and I'm beside myself. So I've decided to up my toilet paper alarm rating to 3 out of 10 toilet papers. Just know if it starts to get to 8 or 9, it's probably a time to buy ammo and start. Anyways, a moment of silence for Kenny Rogers. Hope we can get on with this. And this is where I'm going with this. This is going to be mostly relationship focused, but I'm sure there's some single focus stuff we can do on here too. Carl may be joining us in a little bit here. I think you're the only one not being throttled, and I'm glad. Yeah, I'm not sure about how that whole thing works. A lot of speculation on what's happening with YouTube in the midst of Kenny Rogers passing. It seems that anybody who uses the word Kenny Rogers in their streams is getting throttled. I'm not sure how to handle the event of Kenny Rogers. I just follow the World Health Organization's talk about Kenny Rogers and follow it as best I can. Yeah, what can I say? He had talents. Now, topic at hand, I was thinking leadership. Topic came up because I realized this. So right now, like everybody's working from home now. So there's obviously my girl's in the house here. She's having meetings, and I hear a lot of the meetings going on. And it is amazing the amount of Karens that are completely panicking over this. Like they're not panicking, but they're definitely in a very excited voice telling you not to panic. And everybody seems to know somebody who knew somebody who dated somebody who had a cousin that's in Italy right now. And it's absolutely horrible. Thank you very much. I mean, the news of Kenny Rogers' death has been hit mostly in China, but it's also happening in Italy right now. Absolutely tragic. And they're having a lot of trouble dealing with it. The amount of people that are having issues because of Kenny Rogers' death is just outstanding. But then I was thinking, how many of these relationships, Canadian tuxedo, son of a, how many of these relationships are just flying off the handle right now because the guy is completely incapable of keeping his emotions in check? Thought about it. Obviously, there's some like rather mid-profile Twitter accounts and high-profile Twitter accounts, guys with PhDs, celebrities, got nothing to do with themselves, and they're acting like it's the second coming of the apocalypse. I have not seen this level of Alex Jonesery about the news of Kenny Rogers' death since 9/11, and it's just amazing. Hey, Balthazar, it's always good to see you. Yeah, Kenny Rogers, he was so infectious. It was just so good. Yeah, to the point. And I look at this, and it's like, there is no way these guys are sleeping with their wives if they're just full of this much panic, doing nothing. And guys are spending all their time looking up conspiracy theories about this, that, and the other thing. Half truths here, quarter truths there. And I thought, how is our household handling it? Like, if I'm supposed to be the red-pilled dude on the internet, what are we doing at home here? And then I thought about it, and I'm like, I realized when it comes to leadership, it's not just about sounding strong and looking tough and having a beard and doing whatever. But yeah, so I was prepared for Kenny Rogers' death 2 years ago. And we kind of been saying the same thing. I mean, Rich has a big thing about keeping your finances in order. Obviously, everybody knows you're supposed to have at least 6 months of expenses and bills set aside at all times, just in case. And I'll tell you right now, when I first did that, it would have been, I don't know, I think 2014 was the first time I had done it. The weight that's lifted off your shoulders from a day-to-day level is amazing. You know, This isn't so much about making you feel good, but we're going to get into the subtext with body language of this, which is pretty cool. So weight was lifted off my shoulders. At the time, my girlfriend at the time, she lived with me. We were kind of doing things, and then things would happen. I think one of my tires blew out in my car. And obviously, if you have to replace tires, that's kind of like a big deal if you're living paycheck to paycheck. But for me, I just looked at them like, I'll throw some money at it. It'll get dealt with the next day. It was kind of annoying that I had to lose a day of time to go get it done. And that's kind of the point about leadership. So because I was willing to, and sacrificing for a long-term goal is something I'm always used to. When I first bought my very first condo back in, would have been 2003, 2004. I remember. So I took a year, my first year in the military. I never got a car. Almost every guy bought a brand new car to pick up chicks when they got there. I, sat there, I saved my money. I took the bus, or I ran, or I jogged everywhere. I skipped quite a few bar nights. I did what I could, but I never really drank when I went out. I went out and just ran game, and that was it. And after a year, I had managed to save up enough for a 5% down payment on a place, which is awesome because some of my friends from back in that time just bought their first condo or house like last year. So it put me 10 years ahead of the curve. So taking that idea, and that's leadership, essentially. You're planning for things. You're doing what you need to do. It's not an attractive quality. It's not going to be alpha. It's not going to make a girl wet. But what's definitely going to dry a girl out is, for example, some kind of situation. You find out Kenny Rogers died and the news has been traveling around the world. So what do you look at there? Okay, so there's probably going to be some layoffs, a mini recession at best, a horrible recession at worst. How long do they usually last? They usually last 6 months. Do you have 6 months of savings? Well, I mean, technically I have like 2 years of savings plus like a pension that's sitting in the back there. So for me, it's like no big deal. My whole plan when I first started this was to take the money that I was using post-military. My plan after the military was take 2 years off and do nothing and just get all that out of my system. And then I ended up working. So whatever, it just sat there. Everybody tried to get a piece of it. My bank kept calling me incessantly about throwing it into some mutual funds. It's always the same mutual funds, the ones with the high, I think they call them MEPs, but it's the fee that the bank gets for managing it. So they're sending you a fund that's got, 10, 11% per year. And they're taking 4 points off of that for their cut. So at that point, you're just basically keeping up with inflation, spinning wheels. And Jim the Boomer here has the right idea. It gives you peace of mind. And the beauty of peace of mind is it's a body language thing. If you don't know, body language is 17% the words you say, give or take. And the rest of it is your tone of voice, your inflection, your body language. So what you're not saying tells more of a story than what you are saying. So when you see this event coming up, there's a lot of, girls at jobs, places, they're all stressed out. They're worried, are they going to get laid off? Am I gonna be another Kenny Rogers? Who knows? But then I look at it from our perspective here. What's happening here? Well, I've already got the finances set up. We can take a year off between the two of us and no big deal. I'm still earning income here. I've switched to something that's a little more anti-fragile. Small steps. I'm not saying you have to go this route, but there's tons of routes you can go on that. Some people are just using their investments and they're like, perfect, greatest time ever to do it. Some people have enough money, they don't even have to think about it. Some people are so valuable that even if everybody became a fan of Kenny Rogers, they would still be useful. Just so you know, I stir this coffee with the normal stirring method because I'm not a moron. There's a little Bruno joke for you guys. If you don't know who that is, good for you. Yeah, so you're doing all this stuff. And the funny thing is, when you start talking about there not being a reason to panic, it's not just saying, hey guys, there's no need to panic. You don't have to panic. Kenny Rogers died. There's no reason to panic, but you're actually not panicking. And that's what people are feeding off of. I think owning dogs has been a really good lesson that way because dogs don't know English. I can tell my dogs whatever I want to, and they pick up on my body language and my tone of voice like that. They don't care what I'm saying though. And you kind of need to treat people like dogs in that way. Realize that those little inflections are what matter. So then on top of it, I'm okay. So I'm handled no matter what happens. I don't care if it's, no 9/11, Kenny Rogers, or whatever. But let's learn a little more about this thing. And I go, okay, so what do I do? And here's another like little red pill thing that guys have to understand is that a lot of institutions are really failing in their duty about informing the public discourse. That mainstream media, side media, even like the alternative media is essentially garbage. They just want views. It's just a business. Their goal is to McDonald's the crap out of all that stuff. So I'm taking it for given that any article that comes out from any major publication, news source, or cable news network is half truths and garbage. And it comes up. Like my girl comes with me with a story. It's like, oh man, this like 20-year-old guy just became a fan of Kenny Rogers. Can you believe that? And I'm like, oh, well, perfectly healthy 20-year-old. That doesn't really make sense with what I've been looking up. So here, why don't you read the story to me? And then she reads the story because, most people don't read past the article or they skim. And you find out it's like this guy, he was on death's door. He had leukemia, he had lung cancer, and then he just so happened to go to a Kenny Rogers concert in Miami. And and then once he gets back, of course, like it basically is the last concert he ever decided to go to. He's like, this is the best concert I've ever been to. And then you realize, yeah, they're trying to sell you a picture of young, healthy people loving Kenny Rogers, when in reality, like they're really kind of inferring that it could be you too, because then you panic. And if you panic, you keep watching. And if you keep watching, they keep getting paid. Then look into it. Another one that was great. A mother and her 2 children went to go see Kenny Rogers. And I'm like, oh man, I did not know. Like, and it's like infers that it's when you think like a mom and her children, you kind of think like toddlers and somebody in her 20s. But then I'm like, oh, that's strange. Then you go and you read the article. The old lady was 80 and the kids were 60. So I don't know if it works or not. Like, obviously, I mean, girls love watching serial killer stuff. So I fully expect that I get the enjoyment of kind of following this stuff cathartically. But then you kind of realize like, oh, once you actually like look into things, you read between the lines, they're inferring things that tap into your emotional triggers to get stuff from you. So I'm like, all right, so I obviously can't trust the Fifth Estate. So what would be a good one? Oh, I know. Yeah, see? Drew understands exactly what's up. And it's not a conspiracy theory, it's emergent strategy. If Carl gets on here, he'll explain it pretty well. But emergent strategy is if there's a certain event, let's say a Kenny Rogers passing. Everybody kind of looks at that event and responds to it based on their own incentives. And then if you take 1 million people that are responding to the death of Kenny Rogers and you look at it from a 10,000 foot view, you're going to see patterns emerge because people are great at observing patterns. In reality, it's just coincidence a lot of the times, or there's a reasonable expectation. Like if Vegas shuts down all the casinos because Kenny Rogers might play there as a hologram someday and they want to prepare for it, then they're going to lay off a bunch of workers, which means, these guys are like, everything kind of makes sense. You don't have to have a angry cabal of Kenny Rogers fans in the background doing things from their lizard keeper lair. So I don't worry too much about patterns because I know that for the most part, if anybody is doing a conspiracy, it's going to be too few people, because as soon as you add 3 people to a lie, somebody's going to blab. Damn, we're up to 70 people now. Hit that like button, I guess. Like, subscribe, comment. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Honestly, I don't know. There's so much things about what makes a YouTube channel great. Just enjoy the content in the way you see fit. And I just trust that, as more people come and enjoy the content as they see fit, things will just roll into place. But hit all the buttons, can't hurt. Yeah, so emergent strategy. There's no lizard people controlling this thing from the back end of it. So I kind of ignore that. Plus, I can't really, let's say it is true. Let's say there's, lizard people in the background trying to find Kenny Rogers. Never going to find out about it anyway. Do you think some, idiot from nowhere, Wisconsin's going to be, I have the answers. Luckily, they didn't think, and like, no, dude, no. All right, so I have to go to sources then. And right now, the best source I can find is the World Health Organization, because there's enough people working there that I can kind of trust the data. Maybe not the reporting. And if you saw that, there's like a bunch of news reports about how the WHO changed the name from Kenny Rogers to KR19 because apparently it sounds racist to Kenny Rogers fans. But then you go look through the report, it just turns out that the original name, Kenny Rogers, is just a category of names for different types of musicians. And so they have to change it to something specific because, you're going to mix up Kenny Rogers and Kenny Loggins if you don't. So I kind of get it. But at the same time, you go to the original sources, and I just go to the World Health Organization. Hey, show me the stats on Kenny Rogers. They're doing daily sit reps, and they're showing you everything, and you realize it's all the panic is massively overblown. Like I said, we're not at 10 out of 10 toilet paper scenarios. We're at a 3 out of 10 toilet paper scenarios. So I'm like, all right, it's cool. That's another thing that kind of matters from a leadership perspective is getting knowledge and then realizing if you don't have knowledge, like if you don't have insight into something, that you have to be okay with the uncertainty. It's just one of those things. To be able to make a decision without complete information is a bit of a superpower. Kenny Loggins. Exactly. You can't see, you screw this stuff up. Now people are thinking Kenny Loggins is dead. You can't go that route. Anyways, Luke, welcome from Australia, man. Dude, I'm glad you're here at midnight. Don't worry, it's quarantine now, so you can sleep in a little bit. You don't have that morning commute to Australia. Hopefully that was a good enough Australian accent. I'm pretty sure I butchered it pretty well. I just watched 3 Hugh Jackman movies, and that's the best I got. Yeah, and you kind of get a better picture of it. You may not get all the details, but you get the overarching picture. The overarching picture is, I don't know if I can, you know what, I'm not going to be able to do very, very, very good alluding to this. So the Kenny Rogers virus is very highly spreadable. It's asymptomatic. So people don't know they have it and they can spread it. And then, you know that the rate of people going to Kenny Rogers concerts is a lot more than they would for, Kenny Loggins, but it's not so much as big as a Wham concert. I kind of looked at it and I'm like, okay, you take the data, you take the numbers, you take the percentages, you come up with a number. Divide let's just say you're living in a country of 100 million people. And let's say it's a 3% rate of you going to a Kenny Rogers concert. So you take 3% of 100 million people or 3 million people. I'm like, okay, so that's a lot. And then you take from that, okay, so you break it down by age. And the World in Data is another good example of that. They're a pretty good NGO, as long as you avoid the bullhorning and just focus on the data. 80% of that is people that were probably going to go to a Kenny Rogers concert within the year anyway, or a Kenny Loggins concert within the year anyway. So it's not so much that the concert is bringing in new people. It's just they're stealing people from another concert. And then you take all this stuff, you put it together, you're like, okay, so I'm going to look at what's comparable. Like how many people go to different concerts? How many people are at a Wham concert? How many people are at a Rolling Stones concert? And then you look and it's about half as bad as, I don't know what lung cancer would be for a thing. we'll say Kiss. Kiss is your lung cancer. But that's the point. It's about half as bad as that. So how much do we panic now about lung cancer? Basically none. I'm like, all right, so that gives me a good idea of what I need to do. So there, I've done, and here's the problem with anxiety and fear and panic. It mostly comes from a lack of confidence in being able to see what comes up in the future. So I've done it's about as good due diligence as a person can do without finding the lizard people. I've done about as much preparation as I can do. Now, I'll get to what happens if you haven't done this preparation, but anyways, the point is much preparation as I can do, as much information as I can do, and I put it in perspective with with my entire music catalog. And after that, I realized, okay, that gives me an adequate place to start from. It may not be the perfect set of information, but this is where another red-pilled concept of irrational confidence comes in. I'm irrationally confident in my ability to look this stuff up. Not really emotionally invested in it. I just know when I did my research, I knew what I was doing and I knew how to look into it and I knew how to prepare and I just trusted I knew what happened. So I don't think about it anymore. And now when my girl comes at me, and this is the part that's going to matter for you guys at home with the relationships, is that your girl comes home and she reads 5 news articles about, Kenny Rogers this and Kenny Rogers that. And You just kind of, I mean, you're calm and you're like, look, it's not a big deal. I mean, you can talk as little or as much about it as you want. Some girls just want to don't worry about it and kiss her on the forehead. Some girls want you to run your mouth about numbers and statistics until they get so bored that it no longer has an emotional resonance to it. How's it going?
Hey, dude, sorry I'm late. I had a bit of an issue with daylight savings time.
Oh, that's all right. It happens. I was just going over the Kenny Rogers passing. It turns out that YouTube is throttling anybody who talks about it. So I thought it would be a good time to have an episode on how many people have been going to the Kenny Rogers concert and how you can use that to be a better leader at home, not in the way where you're making truck nuts and shotguns in the house to protect against fictional people, but actually like not being a scared little chihuahua shivering while your wife and kids just freak the fuck out.
About Kenny Rogers or COVID, dude?
Come on, you're the guy we did wrestling analogies with here. I'm trying to keep from being throttled. We're talking about Kenny Rogers passing.
Yeah. So they've been... Oh, yeah, shit. I'm not used to doing this stuff anymore, man. It's been too long since I did it regularly.
Oh, that's all right. That's fine. Did you want to share like why you wanted to talk about leadership and relationships, or is it just having you back is good enough?
Oh, no, it's just that I told you about the whole thing where I'm settling down to just having one girl in my rotation. It's mostly just a convenience thing because, you know, Kenny Rogers is affecting us all, and you never know when you may be running into him on Tinder.
That's a good point.
I mean, it's not one of those things where you can, you know, I just don't want to be a gambler when it comes to those type of things.
I'm with you. Besides,
You know,
he's just as good at concert as Kenny Loggins, so I'm not too stressed.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, just be careful with everything. So,
but yeah, and that's the whole like the leadership point of it. A lot of guys, like you've seen it. How many guys right now that were like leaders of alpha men are just like shivering little chihuahuas talking about lizard people right now? Do you think their wives are like, you know what, I want to touch his dick? I don't think so. Yeah, I really don't think so.
Yeah, sorry about that, man. There was a tradition I don't want to give up, even when Kenny Rogers passed.
It's awesome. I brought out the old rants you had too from before. Those were super popular. Although Rich is convinced I have to get rid of them.
Oh, why would you have to get rid of them?
I don't know. Something about YouTube guys saying that's not family friendly. I have no desire to. I like them too damn much.
Well, since when have I been family friendly?
When have any of us? I don't care as long as it's entertaining and funny.
I'm about as family friendly as a Rottweiler.
But so did you miss when I asked you the question before about like you see how many alpha leaders of men with their truck nuts and their Miller Lite have just turned into shivering chihuahuas talking about lizard people now? I'm kind of running a bet on how many of them are like how many wives are looking at them and like, oh, this leader, I'm going to touch his dick. And how many of them are just kind of like, I'm going to drink rosé, work on this jigsaw puzzle, and just don't touch me.
Well, I do expect that there will be a lot of divorces going around. I mean, Kenny's been keeping a lot of people cooped up together. So I just think that you'll have a lot of divorces. And that's not going to be good for a lot of these guys. I mean, it's going to be great for us because we'll probably get a ton of ton of new viewers on here. So you should always be able to capitalize and be ready to capitalize on a tragedy. And that's always been my philosophy.
Well, you got to. Well, I mean, you got a little bit.
And, you know, Kenny's just one in the long line of a back catalog of other Kennys that been more or less been coming from the same place.
Don't forget, there's also Wham in 2001. I don't know if I could do the analogy that far. I'm just going to kiss tip to Kenny Rogers and use the real names. But yeah, you're right. It's what did they say? It was a combination of huge amount of animals, horrible health and safety practices, giant concentrated population, and massive amounts of like pollution causing mutations. It's just bound to happen.
Well, yeah, it's been one of because I'm, you know, at least what field I'm in. So it's always been fun to me to look at, you know, where you get things like Kenny coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always some dumb shit with animals.
I was just thinking of what was that rumor that AIDS got from guys who were doing monkeys? I don't know if that one is true, but it always made me laugh.
Well, the one I heard that there are two theories and both kind of make sense. Number one is that it was based on bushmeat practices in the Belgian Congo. For those who are unfamiliar with life in the Belgian Congo, I can recommend Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. It was kind of the basis for what's the film with Apocalypse Now.
Oh.
So the movie wasn't based on the book, but same theme. So it was a case of you had a lot of bushmeat, and then you had a ton of inoculations, and you were injecting people without properly sterilizing needles in between, so you got very rapid transmission. And the other theory is that it had to do with bushmeat practice, which is essentially the killing and eating of monkeys.
Does that? I know that's the whole thing where it's is that why cannibalism is bad? It was kind of like similar to cannibalism and its effects.
Yes and no. I mean, if you think about Kuru, which was a disease in an island in the South Pacific, which was based on prions in the brain. So that's similar to mad cow disease. The whole issue with especially apes and chimpanzees is just the fact that they're so close to us genetically that it really doesn't take a lot for a potential Kenny to mutate so it can infect all our lives.
Interesting. Well, either way, it makes it better explanation than the cabal of lizard people trying to get rid of the boomers. But I guess you don't. I mean, oh, sorry.
Would that be a bad thing?
I know it's edgy to say, yeah, the final dig to the boomers, but I'm not a big fan of like cheering on an entire demographic being wiped out. But yeah,
my whole
for edge purposes, it's funny.
Like if I have to pick between boomers and millennials, I'll pick boomers.
Oh, same. Here, a quick one from One Man's Way. Thanks for the $20 super chat. Hypergamy has flipped in my area, being essential personnel. All of my exes are contacting me. They also know I'm a prepper. And tons of men posting on Facebook why they're going to off themselves in the relationship breakups. Oh my God. We're talking about that actually at 11:30, how all of a sudden the feminist hair has been growing out into pigtails and everybody's been looking for a good man. The kids are the single mom's kids are hiding in the bedroom while she's out there, with an apron on, learning how to make pancakes. It's chaos, I tells you, chaos.
Yeah, it reminds me of those World War III memes where the feminists were like suddenly, no, I'm not a feminist. I just learned how to bake.
Dude, that part's making me laugh, but it's a good point. Like I was taking it from the perspective of guys who already have a girl in their house, whether she can stand him or not. And this is like a perfect example. When I say leadership, the one thing that a lot of guys don't agree with and they don't seem to understand is like leading a girl's emotions. So I don't think you have that same problem because your girl's with her industry and that, I'm assuming she's pretty level-headed too, or maybe she's just as emotional as all the rest of them. But some part of it, just being prepared and adequately concerned but not panicked over it, seems to be like a superpower.
Well, what I usually do is I take whatever the media is saying and I dial that back by about 80%.
See, I just ignored them altogether and went straight to the source for the data that they're stealing it from.
Well, it's also the whole statistics thing, because if you have a certain grasp of statistics, you start to realize that, like a lot of numbers that have come out from various sources in the last 50 years, they are usually a bit exaggerated. So let's say, in this case, you don't really know the transmission rate. You don't really know the infection rate. So at that point, you're just testing the subset who gets so sick that they actually go to see a doctor, or they're in contact with essential personnel, which means that they're just a small subset again. So
at that point, it's that same statistic. Remember the one about how many guys were actually the father, and the MGTOWs took when it was like 13%, 30%. I can't remember what the exact number was, but they took that to mean that 12% of men in the world are cucked. When you actually look at it, it's guys that were concerned about their paternity. So what the real stat is if you think you weren't the father, you got a 1 in 3 chance of being right, which is a totally different stat. When you're totally right with Kenny Rogers here, same thing. They're testing people who either have it, likely have had it, or likely will have it. And of course, those numbers are going to be higher.
Well, it's basically like trying to figure out the average size of a penis based only on dudes who do porn.
And then don't forget the telephone game. I hear, one source says 5%. Naturally, one person in that chain is going to panic and call it 6%, then 7%. Now it's up to like 30% chance of going to a Kenny Rogers concert. I'm like, holy.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, I don't know. I think the reason why I'm so relaxed about everything is just that I know people are retarded.
My God, is that not summing up in a nutshell? And we haven't been getting ample examples of that lately, in case you were in doubt.
Because it's just one of those things, like, why does it take Kenny Rogers for people to start washing their fucking hands? What kind of dirty fucking pigs are you?
What do you need with 800 rolls of toilet paper and 500 cans of Alphagetti?
Well, something good did come out of that. Because there was a guy who actually did the math on how many shits you'd have to take to use up all that toilet paper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll see if I can find the link. I saw it yesterday. It's hilarious. And just the fact that some dude sat down and did the math.
Yeah. And dude, I was laughing my ass off. How sad is this, by the way, in Canada? I'm noticing Trudeau has so far the most manly response out of anybody in the fifth estate or politics right now. That's how far the Kenny Rogers concert has failed us.
I would expect him to be with the women screaming.
His wife apparently has it, so he's staying at home with her. But we have a theory on that too. See, we were supposed to go to, because of the pipeline issues, there's a native reserve that it goes through, and they're protesting it. The theory being they want a certain cut of the action, and they're not getting it, so they're going to protest the thing until it goes down. He was supposed to meet with them, and the day before his wife caught Kenny Rogers. So that's the theory on it anyway. But he says exactly what you need to say. Everybody's worried about the supply chains. You won't get a chance to go to a Kenny Rogers concert because there's none left. And the supply chains are fine. The demand is the only problem, is people keep buying up everything.
No, it's the same thing you're having with the healthcare system. If people just calm the fuck down, put their balls back in their wife's purse and chilled out, this wouldn't be an issue because the supply chain is still going to function.
Yep.
And the healthcare system is still going to function, provided that you don't have a ton of people who start running in there and messing shit up.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's the whole point of this whole self-distancing crap anyway. Slow down. Don't get grandpa sick faster than we can deal with him. All right.
And, to be honest, I kind of like this social distancing shit because people have stopped randomly hugging.
I thought you were European. Don't you guys love that hugging and kissing on the cheek stuff?
Dude, I'm also partially Anglo, so I have like 5 hugs I can give for my entire life.
Down to 3. But yeah, and as thought about this whole thing, I think a lot of it is guys don't know what they want. Wine More Please and I were talking about this last week, actually, where for half the field reports and questions out there, guys will just blurt out their life story and then say, what do I do? Because they literally don't know what to do. And I can imagine in this situation, guys don't know what to do. They don't know what they want to do. So Karen panicking and nagging them to buy more shotgun shells and toilet paper is probably the closest thing they have to instruction. Because have you ever done any kind of police or military training when it comes to like port security or anything like that?
Yeah.
Remember the escalation of force, how they talk about officer presence being number one, like look like an authority, simple commands. Yeah. That way they know how to follow them. Yeah, it seems like it's that, but now it's Karen is the one with the escalation of force. Simple commands.
Yeah, well, you never let Karen run a household. I mean, what manager is she going to speak to when she's the head of the household?
I still laugh. There's been so many girls with like really short bob haircuts talking about that they want to know when this virus or when this concert is going to end. Absolutely hilarious. They're just
but that's also a big issue that I think a lot of I was thinking about writing something about this, but I've been way too fucking busy as of late.
Yeah.
With the whole idea of certainty. Because a lot of people want things to be certain. And in most cases, you can't give them certainty.
Nope.
If you've ever dealt with a contractor, he'll tell you, like, oh, it's going to be 4 to 8 weeks. Yeah, but I need to know the exact date because Karen wants to move in her furniture. And you can't get an exact date for things.
No, there's too many variables. You'll never, and you not only is there not enough, there's too many variables. There's also what they call it, asymmetrical information. You're not going to know everything you need to know by the time you need to make the decision. Some people may hide things. Some people won't know things. You just won't have access to it. It's impossible.
But what surprised me the most, though, is just how many people are poor risk analysts.
Oh, horrible. Heck, I was making a career out of just having people dial in their fears about risk.
Because I was thinking about this, like, who doesn't buy like one of those big things of toilet paper when you buy toilet paper?
Other than people who have no space in their house, pretty much everybody.
Yeah, because I've been buying bulk like toilet paper and kitchen wipes for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also kept, a couple of liters of sanitizer at home, enough food to last me for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, jug of Pine Sol, whatever.
Yeah, a massive amount of freaking coffee because the last thing I want to do is run out of coffee. The zombie apocalypse comes around. I don't want to face that without coffee. And, I could always break into the whiskey collection, but I went out and I got about a gallon's worth today just in case.
Look at you. You still got the American in you talking about gallons.
Well, I figure I'll pander to the audience.
Nice. Gallons, 4 liters for those of you. Those of you who aren't in America.
So, but I'm actually glad I'm not anymore. It's like, for some perspective, I'd love to be back in the compound. Just for the sake that I had my own gym there. I had my own still. I had my own beer production. I had some limited food production. And I had a lot more guns that are still locked up back there. But on the other hand, though, the good thing about being here is like 99% don't have guns. So I'd rather be the one guy with a gun in a city where 99% don't have one versus being in America where like everyone has a fucking gun.
I think that's the thing. Either everybody or nobody, but you just got to pick a direction and stick with it. Waffling is what makes things bad. Although I guess that's Canada. I think we're waffling. Heavily restricted, but everybody can get it.
Well, you can look at the different purchases too. I mean, Canadians is a lot more practical weapons.
Oh, tons of knives. We're a knife country.
So it's more like if you have to pick, and I don't really want a Glock during the zombie apocalypse. I want something long range.
Wasn't that the whole point of a pistol, is to fight your way to a rifle?
At least that's the way I learned it. That you use the pistol until you can get to a rifle. At least I don't know. I'm not the big gun guy anymore, but it's just a practical tool. That's how I was raised about them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the same. I think of them like kitchen knives. But then again, after basic training, I had 10 weeks of just cleaning it every day, and I can't stand every time I had to fire it. I just thought, there's 45 minutes I got to clean now. I just didn't enjoy it.
Well, that's the big issue. It's a lot of upkeep.
Yeah. I'm wondering, are people really good with upkeep in the States, or do they kind of just buy it for the sake of it? Do they not even fire them? Or
I'd say some, like the people who are actually gun people or who've had training usually clean them, but most of them just keep them laying around, don't oil them up, don't take them out and shoot them. They just have it lying around. So odds are if they actually need it, that piece of shit's going to misfire. Fair
enough. Why not just leave a photograph of a dick pic lying around? This serves the same purpose. I guess quick chat here. One Man's Way. Thank you for the $10 super chat. I am so thankful you straightened me out before all of this. The old me would have been Captain Save-A-Ho 100%. Oh, dude. Carl and I will talk about quarantine game here in a minute, because I got a pretty good strategy I think will help you guys out, and I think you already know it. And then Australian Rainmaker, thank you for the 5A super chat. I don't know what A's are, just dollars. Wow, there's a name I haven't heard in a while. Molyneux married a lady in her mid-30s. In an interview, his wife said she was objectified by past men, and Steph liked her for who she was.
Speaking of, didn't he get the platform a while back?
Yeah, he got MailChimp. Some Karen was complaining about him, and one tweet, and then all of a sudden they just blocked and removed his entire account.
Oh, Jesus.
I know, like same response as everybody. They shouldn't have done that, even though I think Steph's an idiot. But how funny is that then? I didn't know he married like a girl in her mid-30s. That would explain probably why he's complaining about 20-year-old eggs all the time. Don't make the same mistakes I did, fellas.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking he's basically an Emma boy with a philosophy degree.
Oh, I can't even anymore. I'd rather drink my own piss than talk about that idiot. He's killing me. Well, every time I go to dunk, he's just like, attention, awesome. And then he doubles down on it. And I'm like, oh. It's like that kid who's like the toddler that falls down and then everybody laughs at him. So he keeps falling down. And it's just not funny after the fifth one.
I don't know. It depends on if he breaks something. It's hilarious to watch his parents' reaction.
I'll wait till he gets a skateboard and tries to do a rail. Those would always get me going. Those ones and those stupid water slide accidents where a guy eats a wooden board in the face.
Yeah, I hate watching those because I know how much fake teeth cost.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. You had to get the one done or whatever. Quarantine game though. I have a thing. I was gonna go with you. Quarantine game on this one. Obviously, there's a uptick of girls that all of a sudden want a nice, happy man. And how have I not noticed you before that? Somebody did a post back in the Married Red Pill about divorced guys in beta game, where he said, yeah, so you're that guy that girls want in a relationship first, and you just kind of dangle the carrot. It's use the same woman tricks that used against you. Don't say you want a relationship, but infer it. Give that plausible deniability. Go and get 5 years of being friend zoned out of your system every weekend. Just nice, angry monkey sex. And then once you finally get that, where are we speech, you just bounce. That's the plan anyway. But it's good. Yeah, one man's way. I remember because his story from way back, he was basically set up to be one of those Captain Save-A-Hoes, and these girls would have poached him good. And it's awesome. He's got a head on straight now, and he kind of knows the game.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest issue with quarantine game, though, you're going to run low on lube.
Just use makeshift lube. I'm sure you can take olive oil, Purell, and never mind. Let's change the topic.
The quarantine game, yeah. I'm just glad I'm not stuck in quarantine with some chick.
Oh, dude, that's the other one that makes me laugh. So many of these power dads have to spend a week alone with their kids and their wife, and they're just like hating life right now. I'm going, it just boggles the mind. And I'm really glad, like Rob from Masculine Geek, he put out a thing like, guys, screenshots, internet never forgets. Because once this is all over, everybody's going to quietly delete all this stuff and go back to truck nut masculinity. And I would hate if we forget all these situations where guys are like, I hate my wife and I hate my kids.
Well, I don't blame them. I mean, I'd probably hate their wife and kids too.
No, they'd be on best behavior with you. That's the thing. A wife and kids, when there's somebody worth acting right around, they'll act right. Well, kids are just kids, but I just think it would be weird. Like, Tanner seems to be having fun with his kids. He likes his kids. He enjoys this experience with his kids. I have a hard time believing that. I mean, I don't like Tanner, but there's no way he's that special that can't be the norm if you put a little bit of brain power and gumption towards the goal of not despising your children.
Yeah, plus the fact that Tanner is in that community. And I think that's one of those things that are very underrated. It's that you need a fairly sized community that have established and enforced norms. Because I think a lot of, at least our generation, we're kind of raised on the nagging wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like Deborah from Everybody Loves Raymond is my class example, or, Carrie from King of Queens.
Oh, is that the Scientology chick's character?
Yeah, Leah Remini.
That's the one. I'm so bad at TV, man. First season of Survivor, I've just haven't looked back since.
No, but the whole reason I know is because I actually caught the stuff on, the Scientology.
Oh, fair enough. But yeah, no, you're right. And it's so common. I see it now. It's Montreal was horrible for it. A lot of the military wives were horrible for it. A couple of my buddies were having it and I'd bust their balls on it. But it's always that same thing where I'm a mother becomes like the way to end an argument before it even starts. I'm a mother, so insert any nonsense you want there and you can't do anything about it. Or how and when they would do it to me, it just bothered the hell out of me where they start talking to me like I'm one of their children. Oh man, the fuck with you meter just amps right up at that point. Like, oh, we're playing this game, all right. But I couldn't, put up with it. Why would you put up with it? I don't get it.
Well, a lot of the time, that's the biggest problem. It's I think I used the term beta by 1,000 concessions, and it's kind of girls can nag and bitch more than we can tolerate it. So you have two options. You can quietly just let her bitch. You can let her have her way, or you can tell her to shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And most guys go one of the two earlier routes instead of just not telling her, but being clear in their behavior that her behavior is unacceptable.
Yeah. I like the warning shot with all right, lay off. And then, like I said, anything. What do you got? You got attention, affection, commitment. Leave the room, go disappear for a couple days, go take a bender in Vegas, like if you have to, or just leave. Eventually, you're going to establish that if you're around, there's a certain conduct required. And I think consistency is the other issue because a lot of guys, when anything gets a little rough, they kind of be very, very inconsistent with it, which sends mixed messages.
Yeah, well, I always joke with my girl that I have to go see one of my side chicks.
I like that. I don't even need to use that stuff for me. It's just like I have no problems. I will burn this to the ground and start again. I don't care. I've already done it twice. Like, what's a third one at this point? I'm pretty location independent right now. It's kind of a natural level of dread. But I mean, she never tests me anymore, so whatever.
Well, I just get tired of the whole, what are you drinking there, kombucha or something?
No, this is, so I had a few wets last night. So right now I got those little squeeze bottles, the little sugar-free grape juice. I add a little bit of salt and sugar to it, so it's kind of like my own homemade Gatorade.
Okay. I got a little bit, you went on a quarantine bender.
Yeah, well, Kenny Rogers died. I had to drown my sorrows.
Well, it was one of those funny things. I saw someone put out a meme about that a couple of days back. Like, after this whole quarantine situation is over, like half the people are going to emerge with a big ass drinking problem.
I know. I love some of these like foreseeable or these hot takes. Some people are saying it's going to be drinking problems coming up. I saw that they're going to call them Rona babies. Any kid that's born 9 months from now, the divorce rate's most likely going to go up. My joke was that, yeah, we just basically show the MRA 40 years of work down the tubes because of one cold. Or yeah, no, how did I put it? Yeah. Anthony offers $2,000 to go to a convention to learn how to act right. The MRA has been complaining for 40 years on equal rights. Feminism has been saying men ain't nothing or men ain't shit for the last 30 years. Then Kenny Rogers, hold my beer. 2 weeks later, it's aprons making cookies.
I just think it's kind of, we've had it too freaking good. And everyone kind of chills when you have it good. Like, I remember when I was younger and we didn't have a lot of cash flowing around. Mm-hmm. And everyone just acted right at that point. And then I look at my little brother, who's kind of, he grew up after my parents started doing well. And he's just the most spoiled little cunt ever.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it's just a case of, same thing with the women. Like, they've never had to deal with a crisis. Like, my grandma was always on good behavior around grandpa because, I mean, she remembered the Depression. She remembered the Nazi-occupied Europe.
And polio and
polio.
Korean War and God knows what else.
So they were they remembered all that stuff. So they okay, we have to make this work. And then you had, like, the boomers who've kind of been, I mean, apart from a little foray in Vietnam, it was more or less peaceful. And most of the women from that generation never really noticed much.
No, that's a good point. It's been abundance for their entire life. And they're such a large demographic too. They kind of drove trends. Like it wasn't for everybody else, it would just be teenagers exploring their sexuality. But then for the boomers, it became the 69, the summer of love, and that was like the sexual revolution. Just because there was so many of them. They just Zerg rushed it.
Oh, nice StarCraft reference.
Hello, gamers.
Yeah, but I've also been seeing a lot of the friends of mine who are gamers come out like, we love this. Our lifestyle is finally trendy.
Oh, dude, those are my favorites. I love those ones too. Lifestyle is trending. I even upgraded my internet. Here, there's some more Prepper stuff I did. I upgraded the internet just in case.
Oh, yeah, but I have that rigged for you. The only thing I would like to put in here is a redundant power supply. I had that back at the compound, but it's hard to run a diesel generator in here.
Plus, you got to be careful. I don't know how well other people, I don't know how yours was set up. I just know if you have the generators, you can either have one, you do it manually. So you just be prepared to maybe some equipment will break, or you have the ones that are cooked to the power supply. So that way they flip on when the power supply goes off, but then you got that power surge in the middle there. But then you got ones that go inline, but then your battery wears out more often. So
yeah, when I had the compound, it was actually hooked into the power system, and it would switch over automatically. But to avoid the power surge, there were a series of redundant power supplies running off batteries that would charge off the regular grid power. So once the power went out, the generators would kick on, but they wouldn't supply directly into the power. They would supply via the UPSs.
Mm-hmm. So did that wear down on the batteries a little faster then?
Well, it didn't work. I didn't run for enough time for me to notice it.
Fair enough. Because we had that problem when I used to work at the network operations center. They were always in line like that because they couldn't afford any spike in the power or any, like, even that couple millisecond delay. They were like, yeah, it was too much for the power requirements. But then the batteries, we had to change them out like every couple months. Granted, we're running like, 1200 watt antennas and stuff. So it's a bit of a different scenario.
Yeah, it's much heavier load. I mean, in this case, it was just enough so you can get stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, you figure if you're cooking with gas, which is not common in Europe, I'm not sure how common it is in Canada.
Depends where you live. I know they have some places here, but I've always been electric.
So if you're cooking with the natural gas, which was what I did at the compound, you always have the benefit of you're always going to be able to cook. Well, you're always going to be able to do that anyway, because you can always go outside and cook.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not dependent on that. So and I also saw some that I found interesting, which was wood burning generators.
Interesting. Like pellet stove kind of thing, or like actual wood logs?
Actual wood logs. Because the compound has a lot of easily accessible forest. So that was one of the things I was considering before I did the move.
Look at you going. Here I was thinking I was prepping by just having income set aside and a more anti-fragile business. You're like, all right, so I moved near the woods just in case the wood fire generator could power the UPSs so I can win this StarCraft tournament this year.
Well, ideally, I prefer to have solar. So if I'm ever going to set up a location like that again, it's going to be in an area that gets enough sun that you can reliably run solar power.
I would just go with books. We did it all the time. Like we had to renovate our kitchen. We got the new kitchen done. We went without power, without a stove. We just make sandwiches. And, when it's dark outside, you just stop goofing around, stay off the internet for a while. It's perfect. Like you don't even really need power. You don't need there's plenty of ways to prepare food without having to cook it.
Yeah, well, you can still wood burning stoves too. So then you can always cook on a wood burning stove.
Yeah, dry your meat. There's infinite amount of options, but I think that was the point of the whole episode was that, yeah, if you got a girl at home who's prone to panic and Karen loves to nag, you actually having a plan put together and understanding or being confident without all the information to make solid decisions and own the consequences to it. I think it does a huge thing from a sexual dynamic perspective. It helps you. You're basically the calm stoic one. What's the point of keeping you around? It's not because of dick. Girls can be on Tinder and get 10 of them a day. but it's that calming force, I think, is really an underrated skill or underrated value add for guys.
And like I said, I'm also a big fan of, if you have a house, why aren't you, and you have a family, why aren't you already buying a lot of the regular stuff in bulk and storing it up? Because there are a lot of, because I mean, you can save a lot of money on your food budget by, like, you can buy 50-pound bags of rice for next to nothing.
Oh yeah, 50-pound bags or boxes of potatoes. There's tons of like dry goods storage type stuff you can use.
And then what you're looking for is just fresh fruit and vegetables. But if you have a backyard, I mean, a vegetable plot is a great way to activize the kids too, and kind of teach them about food and where food comes from.
And if things are about to go bad, you can pickle them or jar them. Like, there's always something you can do.
Yeah, and if you have a dog, you can always kill and eat it.
Dude, these guys wouldn't last like a meal. 6 pounds of meat.
No,
super lean.
It's an old Eskimo tactic, actually.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Because they use a lot of sled dogs. So if they're running low, they'll slaughter their weakest sled dogs and feed them to their dogs and eat the meat themselves. That way, instead of being slowed down, you can keep the sled running for longer.
Fair enough. But I guess you got to do what you got to do when things are that bad.
Meat you can keep in a freezer, or you can salt it, or you can dry it.
Yeah, it'll last forever if you prepare it right.
Eggs you can pickle, and you can buy like a couple of 10-pound protein powder things with the like neutral flavor. You can mix that in with flour when you bake. Just make sure you get something that's baking friendly. And that way you can make high protein bread. So it's not a big deal if you want to do some of that work. And when you've done that work, at least you have a plan. So Karen won't be nagging you to run out and buy 50 gallons of hand sanitizer and 7,000 rolls of toilet paper.
Dude, my newfound joy was going to the grocery stores for one item like cilantro or something and watching what Karen's buying. We just did it a couple days back, and there were shopping carts, middle-aged soccer moms with shopping carts full of cereal boxes, like 40 boxes of cereal, cans of Alphagetti, instant noodles. Aisles were just stripped clean. Meanwhile, you go to like the fresh fruits aisle, everything's there. I think the onions were the only thing gone. The root vegetables, tons of them. Bags of rice, dry stuff, tons of it there. But the cereal was just gone. And I'm going, dude, Kenny Rogers concert or not, like cereal companies must be just stoking the fires of panic right now because they're cleaning house.
Yeah, I'm also thinking that something like if you're going to buy something cereal based, I'd get oats.
Oh, yeah, rolled oats, steeled oats. But that's the thing. You can get those in bulk. They don't come with the box with the fancy parrot on the front.
No, but it just because those keep for a long time and they're actually nutritious, unlike the sugar-laden shit Karen's buying.
Yeah. But it was making me laugh. The guys, and here's the thing, the guys I saw grocery shopping, they were mostly buying, fruits and vegetables and beer. Which, you got to hit 3 of the 4 food groups, sugar, salt, fat, and booze, right?
Well, booze I can kind of understand because, I mean, who wants to be sober during a Kenny Rogers concert?
Yeah. And there's only so many books you can read when you're listening to Kenny Rogers. You got to get loaded at one point. New York City even did that. They made like alcohol stores. What do they call it? Unnecessary or like emergency or vital good or something like that. So they're exempt from any Kenny Rogers quarantine stuff.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've been seeing over here too. Like the only thing that seemed to be open: grocery stores, medical facilities, and liquor stores.
So we've all basically turned into the ghetto. Only liquor stores and grocery stores are open.
I like this.
Yeah, it hasn't really affected me one way. The worst I could say is that I can film less because I have to work around now that my old lady's working from home. She has more meetings. And so I can't be sitting there making an omelet for YouTube while you're hearing like corporate secrets going off in the background. But other than that, it's like whatever.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've noticed too, because the threshold for calling for a meeting, when kind of like the limit of your effort is about the same as sending an email is
Mhm.
way fucking lower.
Oh yeah, so that you've noticed that too? That meme kind of has been ringing true for you?
Oh yeah, I mean, but the good thing is that a lot of companies have been saying, no, you couldn't possibly telecommute for this job. And turns out, according to Kenny, you could.
Yep. Makes me laugh.
So
Not and you're right. Not only that, people are they're not holding meetings just for the sake of it. Because I have a feeling a lot of meetings are just guilt meetings because they don't like sitting there and not having enough work to do. So they kind of have to make work for themselves. So because they feel guilty about it.
yeah, but noticing like meetings that usually take us 2, 3 hours takes us an hour.
Mm-hmm. Because yeah, everybody's focused on the point.
So you lose all that bullshitting that goes on in between. My biggest problem so far is teaching all these fucking boomers about good call etiquette.
Please mute your microphone, sir. We can hear
Mute your
SpongeBob in the background.
Well, mute your microphone if you're not talking. Use a fucking headset. Ideally, push to talk.
Yeah. If you're on
But
camera and you're not wearing pants, just keep it all below the camera line.
Yeah, well, nobody has been using cameras much.
Oh. Ours uses it a fair bit, but that's the other. And here's the other thing I noticed that was really funny too. So she doesn't really work from home much. She had the option, but she liked going into the office, that hour of exercise here and there. And she went through the same issues I did when I started working from home. That the commute time, instead of taking that and relaxing, you start adding that to your work schedule. So where she would normally leave the house at 7 to get at work at 8, she starts work at 7. And then normally she would leave work at like 4 or 5 to get home at 6. That's all work time. So her work day like extended to 10 hours. So she went through those same things where at first she's like, okay, I finished everything. How many hours has it been? Okay, 3. They book a whole bunch of meetings and then they kind of burn out and then they realize like, oh wow, there really wasn't that much work and there was a lot of like make work jobs that I had. And so it's cool to watch people kind of dial in how much work they actually need to do versus how much of their time they were wasting because they felt guilty about not working.
No, I never had that problem.
Well, yeah, you just decide to fill it with more work.
Nah, I build clients from strip clubs in the past. This is not an issue.
But that's the point. You're at a strip club. You could be like one of those. I love those stories of guys back during the days where you used to VPN into the servers with your phone before they had good access controls in place for people, where they'd be at the bar and then, you know, some service would go down. So they go onto their phone in the bathroom and like start running some scripts, do some diagnostics, fix the problem, bill their bar time. But that's work-life balance. Yeah. I think people are going to get better at understanding that you don't have to live to work. You can work to live. Just from that commute time alone. Taking that commute time and just sitting there staring out a window with a cup of coffee, playing fanfare for the common man so you feel real noble about yourself. I think that's great. Not saying I did that, but just letting you know. I think we muted you, Carl. That's fine. Yeah, so I guess I could say
No,
this.
I just found out you don't read chat.
Yeah, I have the normal and open. I saw it there. It's fine.
No, but I think with the whole thing though is I've honestly been a fan of like the 5-hour days.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think most people can get their job done to the level we do today in give or take 4 to 6 hours.
Oh, easily.
Just because you have so much. How much time does an average office worker spend on fucking Facebook?
Dude, according to my Twitter engagement, I would say 90% of it. Ooh, Adrian, good idea here. Legumes. Honestly, yeah, get legumes. Between dal, Mexican, Italian, just beans and lentils.
Yeah, they also keep very well on the shelf.
Yeah, they'll keep forever. And all you need is water and heat and you can redo them again. But you're right. I noticed that the first thing, like when I first started working here, it was, all right, I'm going to have to work like 10, 12 hours a day to get this stuff done. And then I realized there's just not enough work. And you can only really focus and buckle down for, like you said, 4 to 6 hours. After that, you're just kind of sitting there and your productivity drops to zero. And when you're at the office with the boss staring over your shoulder, they have that expectation that they like seeing you type and work. Like look like you're working, don't actually be working. But then when you're telecommuting, you actually have to manage and take control of your own time. And then you
Well, I
realize
used to write
it's like a leadership thing. They're not telling you to work. You have to work for yourself. And you realize you don't need a lot.
No, but I used to write all my essays at work.
Yeah. Yeah, and they were good too, well edited and that. So it's not like it didn't take any time at all.
So, but the whole thing is, I've noticed that for years because a lot of what I do for a living is essentially spins on similar things.
Yep.
So in the start, it may take you 40 hours to do. Then a couple of years in, it takes you 30. Then when you've been doing it as long as I have it, I can do something that would take a normal person 40 hours. I can do that in 10.
Yeah.
So the other 30 hours, I'm usually just goofing off and reading Brother Morpheus memes.
Oh, I had to mute him because he was too funny and engaging. So I don't look anymore. Have they been equally good lately? I have a feeling he's got a lot of material to work with.
Let's see what he's doing now.
If you guys don't follow him, Brother Morpheus, he's a red-pilled guy who was really not a fan of the grifter stuff coming out. And so he's decided to go full-on meme warfare on it. Absolutely hilarious, super engaging. Definitely worth the follow if you haven't. He's very switched on, and he knows exactly how to get to the heart of the matter. I would say next to Carl, he's probably the funniest Anon account on the internet.
Oh, Jesus. COVID and the deep state with an Aperol spritz.
All right.
And if you're not familiar with what an Aperol spritz is, it's this mix of Prosecco usually and something called Aperol. It's a peach liqueur, I think. Served in ice in a wine glass. It's something chicks over 40 and apparently our good friend Enema Man likes to drink.
Oh, yeah. I've been blocking him for years. And everybody keeps sending me screenshots and memes and this stuff, and I have no willpower. So if you show me enough of them, eventually I'm going to look. I looked at one. He was doing some live stream about, I don't know, Illuminati lizard people. And the first thing I saw was him with a glass of rosé in a glass filled with ice. And I'm just like, I'm done. Dude, if you can't handle college girl level wine without diluting it with ice, I'm like, I can't. I just can't. Drove me nuts.
There was a few new experiences I've had, though, during this. I mean, I've never had to sanitize liquor bottles before.
Oh, really?
I've just made that a habit. I mean, one of the first days I just sanitized my entire apartment, just in case. There've been a lot of hose in here, so just to make sure. And then after that, I just keep sanitizing anything I imagine someone would touch. Because Kenny sticks to things and Kenny can live for a while. But you haven't lived until you've sanitized the hand sanitizer.
Inception. But yeah, same thing. When we leave the house, we have a thing of Lysol wipes in the car. So if we're going out and touching a bunch of stuff, just give it a quick wipe. And then once we get into the house, we just wash our hands, wipe off our phones with whatever sanitizer, and get all the door handles. And then it's the best you can do. It's probably not going to change anything, but sometimes the routine is nice too. I already know, because we're all gonna catch it. Just trying to
sooner or later. It's a lot like gonorrhea. You're gonna catch it sooner or later, so you may as well have some penicillin laying around.
Yeah, as long as everybody doesn't catch it at once, we're fine. Don't want to kill Grandpa. Grandpa just wants to go see that Kenny Rogers concert in the sky, but I don't want to make sure he goes there quickly.
Yeah, worst part of it is the few grandparents I have left. None of them have any money to inherit, so there's not even any financial incentive to just cough a bit.
Yeah, I love the Zoomers too. They're doing the thing where they go to grocery stores and then start coughing just to see what other people do. Yeah, that one I like. Licking the ice cream one I don't like, but
I just hope some of those motherfuckers get shot.
Oh, the ice cream lickers? Yeah. I'm surprised there hasn't been any World Star hip hop videos with that kind of crap.
No, but I was a trendsetter with trolling people IRL. I've been doing that for years. But there's trolling and there's nasty. And if you're walking around licking fucking tubs of ice cream, What's next? You're gonna rub your balls on the fucking limes?
Oh yeah, there was the soya sauce challenge. Somebody said that the skin on your scrotum has the same taste buds that your tongue has, and so they're trying to get people on TikTok to dip their balls in soya sauce to taste it. At this point, I would have rather eaten a Tide Pod than dip my balls in soya sauce.
I just hope some of this shit kills them. Well, licking toilet seats is nasty, but who hasn't done a line of a toilet seat in their life?
Oh yeah, the toilet licking girls are back too. I asked that. I'm like, hey, with all this worry about Kenny Rogers, where's that toilet girl that licks the toilet seats? And sure enough, somebody else was showing me her OnlyFans thing. I'm like, the internet provides. No fear. But unlike you, I want these people to live long and healthy lives. I'm taking the attitude now that so long as the Anthony Johnsons out there are not starving in the streets while trying to run a business, then I have the utmost confidence in my ability to squeak out an income ranting about alpha males on the internet. So
well, I'm not concerned about income. The only thing though is there's going to be a slowdown. So this is probably a good moment to buy stocks if you're liquid.
Oh, dude, I am too. I haven't told you this. So it was awesome. Had to been fight with the military for like 3 years because they screwed up and accidentally gave my pension to somebody else. So I finally got the pay. Yeah, I finally got it in like 5 years after I retired. So there was the 2 ports of it. Each one's about 100 grand. One was taxed, one wasn't. I got that. Plus I got my 2-year war chest that I was going to have just in case I had to leave the wife when I was running dread or whatever. So there's all this cash sitting there. And then the banks were constantly calling me, trying to get me to invest in that mutual fund with the really high administration fees. Like they promised me 10% a year, but they take 4% of that for their fee. And I'm like, well, thank you. I would love to put my money in a mattress. And so now I'm looking at this stuff, and we were just, as a LARP, we're checking some of the stuff. Like, what are the airlines at? They're down from like $60 to 12. Cruise lines are down. Chipotle's down from 900 a share to 4. I'm like, damn. You're right. With liquidity, it's I don't know if today is. What's your thought on this? My thought, I'm going to wait until the quarantine is over. Although at this point, I mean, it's going to go whatever level it's going to go to. It's going to be higher than it is now. So
I don't know what kind of quarantine restrictions do you have in Canada?
Borders closed with the states. It's not mandatory, but voluntary. And beyond that, everybody's just panicking, asking what ifs.
Well, I think it was just safely. So I kind of saw this shit coming. So I've been, I just told work that, hey, I'm going to telecommute for a while because y'all are some dirty fucking bastards. You can't even put your cups in the dishwasher at the end of the day. Yes, I'm that guy. But anyway, so I've been doing it for a while, and as long as you limit your exposure, so I'm not under anything mandatory.
Yeah, same here. There's everybody's talking about wanting it, but whatever.
Well, you should have closed the border with the states years ago, though.
But that's the thing. That's what I love. I've been jokingly doing like these tweets about surviving the quarantine as if it's a zombie apocalypse, but making very bougie takes. The border is closed with the exception of like capital, trade, transport, medical, emergency. Basically, other than vacations and shopping across the border, everything is still open, but it's completely closed down border and everybody's panicking, which just made me laugh.
I just think, I don't know. I kind of wanted World War III.
We already had World War III this year. We'll have World War III next month. Again,
well, the whole
World
thing
War IV.
was, World War III would kill millennials. Kenny Rogers kills boomers.
So what's left then? Just the Zoomers? And what we're going to do is put some anthrax into ice cream?
To be honest, though, I'd love to see the military trying to supply avocado toast and soy lattes to their frontline soldiers.
They just don't. You saw that. The Pentagon's report about too fat to fight. Something like there's not enough Americans to recruit because they can't meet basic fitness standards. So they're like, okay, Obama, we need drones. We're basically going to get Skynet before we get millennials in a war.
I don't know. I would have loved to see that. When they have male and female uniforms. What about the other 183 fucking genders?
Oh, dude, that stuff. Yeah, I've noticed too. That stuff just all disappeared, went away. Nobody cares about the extra genders anymore.
Well, to be honest, though, man, I mean, it's like if you have bullets flying over your head, you're not going to be concerned about someone just misgendering you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all these concerns were basically first world problems.
Yeah, pretty
It's
much.
essentially what people who don't have any problems create so they can feel like they have problems.
Yeah, hey, speaking of leadership, even the Romans figured that out. When they weren't out of war, they'd have big public works projects to give the army something to do other than overthrow the government. I think we need you're right, like a little micro household version of that. Probably be a good thing. Dad, give the kids something to do other than panic about their genders. Whatever.
And it gives them something real to panic over, even though it's not worth the panic yet.
Yeah, these fake panic events seem to work really well for that. I will grant you there. I am curious how quickly people are going to go back to their balkanization once everything's all said and done in 6 to 8 weeks or 12 weeks or however many weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm kind of curious for how long you guys did like a Rule 0 with the history of RMG or something. Or was that RMG?
No, that was them.
Somebody in chat.
It was probably them that did it. To be honest, I just laugh. There's always somebody in the chat. I've had to tell people in chat, I'm like, look, you guys stop looking at the competition and sending us numbers because you're essentially their audience at this point.
At the same time, though, man, I mean, it's hard to look away from the disaster. I mean, I love to people watch outside now and see all the people panicking.
Yeah, from that side of things, but the RMG stuff, now it feels like cyberbullying. It's like I'm picking on door lickers or window lickers or doorknob fuckers.
Yeah, you're basically kicking the guy who wears the helmet when he rides the school bus down the stairs.
Yeah, it's fun at first, but it wears off really quickly, and then
you start to feel a little bit bad.
Yeah, well, that's the problem is that any attention is good attention attitude that comes back from it. And I'm learning this. Every time I forget, I get reminded right quickly. As soon as you mention anything, even just a dunk on them, it could be hilarious. But it's like you become a soccer ball in a 6-year-old kid's soccer game. Just swarmed. Every spurg comes out of the woodwork.
Been a while since I had Johnny Walker, though. I heard this thing about Kenny Rogers being cured by scotch.
Oh, who was that was saying they loved Christopher Hitchens, but his love for Black Label was the only thing about him they couldn't stand.
Well, I get why he likes it, though. It's been my favorite drinking whiskey for years, too, just on the basis that it's
like the Budweiser of Scotch, I find. Super easy to drink.
Yeah, well, that's what I like about it, because if you take the real peaty ones,
yeah,
you can't have that every day.
No, you cannot.
It's the same reasoning Warren Buffett had when he bought Coca-Cola. Because if you drink 5 Cokes a day, you just don't get tired of the taste. You can do that every day for your entire fucking life.
People do.
There are very few drinks you can actually do that with. Like, can you imagine having 5 milkshakes a day?
Oh, no, I could not. But I would say it's the new thing. I'm giving rye another try because Canada, we've really screwed the pooch on whiskeys. We have no quality control, no standards. It's just as long as there's some rye in your mash, then it counts as Canadian and made in Canada. That's the only criteria we have. So like Canadian Club will taste like your alcoholic uncle. Meanwhile, Wiser's tastes like it's an easier drinking one. And like everything is so different. You just don't know what you're in for.
I have to ask, though, how do you know what your drunken uncle tastes like?
You know what I mean. That harsh, burnt toffee. It just smells like Christmas dinner when your uncle just starts dropping racist epitaphs at your cousin that's dating a white dude. And you're like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I look forward to being that guy.
Oh, look at you. But yeah, no, I never liked the taste of that. I don't get why Mad Men, like they must have been paid a lot of money by Canadian Club for it.
Well, I love rye whiskey. So especially if you get those that are really, really high rye in the mash. So like 50, 60, 70%.
Well, which ones do you find that you like? Because so far, Wiser's is the only brand that I kind of like the taste of. I refuse to drink Crown Royal. That's like that's the equivalent of a redneck with a Rolex watch thinking he's now high society. That's the drink that everybody uses when they don't want to look like a drunken redneck.
Well, I've been a fan of. There's one from the States called Knob Creek, I think it's called.
Oh, I thought Knob Creek. I didn't know. I've had Knob Creek. I always thought that was a bourbon.
Yeah, it is a bourbon, but if you're doing rye, I mean, rye bourbon, I actually like rye bourbon better than I do rye whiskey.
So how does that work then? Is it a corn and a rye 50-50 mix or?
Yeah, usually higher on the rye, but there's always corn in there.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I was just talking like straight up ryes. It's hard because I don't know. There's no baseline for me to base on which one is good and which one is bad. Canada really needs to get our act together.
That's Knob Creek Canadian.
No, I'm pretty sure that's American.
Yeah, same. But Ribney said Knob Creek is CDN, and I'm thinking CDN means Canada.
If only we had a tool, a magic box that could tell us. Knob Creek bourbon whiskey. It says it's got to be from, what was it, Kentucky or whatever?
Yeah, I got a taste for it because I always use that or Bullet to do old fashions.
Yeah, Bullet's nice. And I know they're just Four Roses. It's the same distillery as Four Roses. They just got the different bottling on it. So I'll buy the Bullet because I like the bottle. But if I don't want to spend the extra $5, I'm like, just give me the Four Roses. It's fine.
Yeah, I just generally, if I'm going to mix something, I'll just go with the cheapest thing that won't ruin my drink.
Oh, then just grab turkey. That was my go-to pickup drink when Mike and I were running game. We just say gobble gobble, and it would be wild turkey and Dr. Pepper. 2 or 3 of those, and we were ready to start doing mystery openers. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's just a general thing with me. It's like you have like if you're gonna do like gin tonics, and I tend to prefer mine to be more citrusy than. I'm not a huge fan of doing the ones with cucumber slices and pepper.
You're a fan or you're not a fan?
I'm not as big. I'll still drink them. It's just I prefer my gin tonics to be with lime or lemon.
Yeah, me, I've always done. I didn't even know you could do I know you can do cucumber, but I never thought about pepper, which actually would be kind of neat. I wouldn't mind that taste to it.
Well, I actually got a tip from a buddy of mine who's a bartender that they usually do that when they do the Hendrix one because it's usually Hendrix you want to do with cucumber.
Nice.
And
so so with the pepper, do they just like infuse peppercorns into like tonic water, or do they like just grind pepper and put it in a glass?
Crack pepper into it.
Interesting. Hey, it works for Caesars. Why not?
So, I love black pepper though, so that might be.
Oh, dude, black pepper's the awesomest. I used to, when I was in college, I remember I would add so much black pepper to things, it would make it spicy. So I'm with you on that 100%. Back to the topic though. How's your girl doing on all this? She's pretty stable, standard, not too emotional about it. You haven't had to assure her of
Yeah, she's pretty much just pissed at retarded colleagues.
Every girl that's with a solid dude, I notice, has that attitude. My girl has that too. She cannot stand idiot colleagues panicking over nonsense. I hear Rolo's wife is the same thing. She like her colleague. She's so busy working, and she's like, I have no time for their BS.
Yeah, she's in medicine, right?
Yeah. I think was it a nurse or she's either a nurse or something like that. Yeah, nurses. Oh, go.
Yeah, she's just relaxed and she's pissed off that her colleagues are panicking, and she's also pissed off that it took this much for people not to be dirty bastards. And I kind of agree with her on that one.
Oh, yeah. How many people do you think are just saying they wash their hands for social clout? That's the question.
Well, the thing is, I've noticed, I wash my hands more now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
And I use a lot more hand sanitizer and sanitizer wipes. But that's just, it's not like I wasn't washing my hands before. But I think a lot of people just skip the hand washing after they use the bathroom, which is why I haven't touched the door handle on the inside of a bathroom door for the past 15 fucking years.
Just hit the head
And why I avoid.
every time.
And then there's the salad bar, but I mean, who the hell would use a salad bar that's open to everyone?
I never understood the idea of a salad bar. I did that in the Navy. We had our galley line, and I'm like, once I left, I'm like, no, nothing that reminds me of that experience I'll ever go back to.
Because at least from my perspective on this is that I just generally avoid things that other people would have been touching.
Oh, so you're talking about the running with the bulls strategy?
Not familiar.
Oh, it's the best. Well, it's like what the running with the bulls in Spain. Everybody runs with the bulls. It's a nice thing they do every year, and your odds of getting gored by the bull are essentially zero, but your odds of getting stomped by people that are panicking are like 50-50. So in general, when you're running with the bulls, you're actually not concerned about the bull at all. You're concerned with the idiots surrounding you, and you basically go where they're not going.
Yeah, it's similar to if you've ever done jujitsu.
Mm-hmm.
You never get hurt if you're going with like a black belt.
Actually, that's true.
Get hurt by some retarded white belt who panics when you got him in a choke or something.
Yeah, and start flailing about, or don't realize that if he outweighs you by 70 pounds, if he drops onto your lower rib cage, it's probably going to hurt a lot for no reason.
Yeah, I remember one of these Thai boxing studios I went to. They had a very strict rule about no full force during sparring.
Yeah.
Unless both parties have agreed to do it and they're both roughly on the same skill level and the instructor okays it.
It's a smart plan.
And their strategy to enforce that was if you ever went full force on anyone during sparring, one of the instructors would just do a full-on shin kick right in your ribcage.
Ooh, oh, God, I could feel that just hearing it. It's a good time.
At that point, like everyone who ever trained there had that one like deep black bruise going straight across the ribcage.
Where it hurts to breathe, so you kind of have to lie at that perfect angle to get air in as shallowly as possible. I don't miss that at all.
Yeah, and if you're going to sleep, you have to be completely still, because if you accidentally roll over in your sleep, it'll just wake you up because it hurts so bad.
Oh, dude, I was injured constantly. My first gym was bad, or my first club was bad for that. There's always every club always has that one guy who treats it all as like a chance to fill his ego. And so he always goes that little bit extra hard when you're just trying to practice techniques or whatever. But yeah, I learned that very quickly. Always go to the gym where the instructor quashes that crap. It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's just it's the same thing with weightlifting, though. It's just avoiding injury, and it's to bring that back to our main topic about Kenny Rogers. Is that just basic safety precautions are enough. You don't have to panic, but try and minimize the amount of time you spend outside your house in a controlled environment. Because I know my apartment is controlled, so I just minimize the time I spend outside. And all the people who are making fun of my home office setup, they now want to buy a similar one.
Oh, that's right. Or is it the sex toys that they want now, or do they want all of a sudden the random Blue Yeti microphone sitting on the desk for no reason?
Oh, it's not on the desk. I actually have that on a boom arm.
I gotta get one. How did you find? I can't find a boom arm that can take the weight. Like I have a feeling I have to get one of them Joe Rogan super hardcore ones with all the.
They actually make one. I actually got a kit. I think it was on Amazon where they had the microphone with a boom arm made by Blue.
Really? Yeah, because that's the one thing I need. Oh, look at that. They do make their own. That's good. Because that's the two problems I've had with this for the longest time. I don't have a very good place to secure it. Not that I don't have they can handle the weight, but they're just all awkward angles in that. And then they always end up not being able to handle the weight. I've had to reinforce the springs on the one I had now. But then the additional problem is that there was so much metal on it, it was causing interference with the mic. So I'm sticking with the stand now. I'm talking with it right below me.
No, I just got a kit when I bought mine.
Yeah, I see the kit now. I'm realizing I probably should have grabbed that one.
So I've got 5 monitors set up here right now.
Really?
And then I got a new computer not too long ago. because I had some excess profits in my company.
Yeah, and then
And
Warcraft was coming out with Warcraft Classic.
Yeah, and then I just didn't want to pay taxes on more profit than I had to. So then I just kind of went big dick on a new computer.
Oh yeah, isn't that how it works? Like I said, this is my like first year with these company things, but the company makes so much revenue, all the expenses you can write off, you write off. Then whatever's left, you have to you pay that to yourself as a salary because if you just save it, then it's taxed fairly high, right?
Depends on how you're structured. I'm not taxed too excessively, but are you an LLC or are you a regular citizen, so to speak?
LLC, but I'm gonna be looking at it. I'm talking with my tax guy this year. It's deferred now because of stupid logins or Kenny Rogers, but the plan was to move it to a proper federal corporation. It's gonna be a lot more paperwork, but it's gonna be a lot easier to handle all the write-offs and the expenses then.
Yeah, because what I did with mine is I was going to pay myself quite a sizable dividend this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I've kind of put that on hold because back in a couple of the earlier crises, the companies that did dividends were excluded from some of the government stuff.
Oh, that's something good to know.
So it all depends on how your local tax authorities handle it. But in my case, I decided I'd rather just chill because I don't really need the money. I just want the money. So for me, it was more of a case of, hey, how else am I going to keep this whiskey habit going?
Yeah, I know. I don't get how you keep calling it an alcohol problem because I don't see any problem with it whatsoever. Everything's still flowing. Well, bills are getting paid.
Everyone who knows anything about chemistry knows that alcohol is a solution.
If you can think of a better way to pass out and fall asleep after a stressful day, I'll be happy to hear it.
Well, Valium works. Heroin is great.
Yeah, as if I want to be one of the. I cannot believe how many people were on sleeping pills. That was one of my red pilling towards the state of people's mental health when I first had anxiety and went to go see the MIR for it, the military infirmary. They just threw me a handful of Ativan and Ritalin and stuff. Here you go. I'm like, wait, what? I look, there's 6 refills on the prescription. I'm going, what in the fuck? And then I kind of jokingly would talk to a lot of my coworkers from back in the day. They're all over the country now on 26 different bases. And all of a sudden I find out they're all on something. I'm like, what the fuck? How many people are on it? And then my wife, she's like, I want to try sleeping. So I'll get some Zopiclone. That's real base level stuff. And just walked into a clinic. The doctor just handed it to her. I was like, what in the hell is wrong with people? I didn't realize.
Get the girl melatonin instead.
Yeah, well, that's what I switched off to. She had it. I'm like, why don't you just get melatonin? But then we had that fight because I don't know if you followed on it. Melatonin, you really only need 0.3 milligrams to get the peak effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the problem with Americans. You have to make everything bigger and better. So they're selling 10 milligram pills. And so she you want to do melatonin tonight? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I'll take a little nibble off the pill and I'll be good to go. And she's like, why do I have all these half-eaten pills everywhere? So I kind of explained the study, and then she explains that she doesn't care about numbers and I should shut my nerd ass up. But it's been good. Yeah, it is a little bit of knowledge about people popping pills or what's the new one? Ambien and booze. That's the go-to thing for, by the way, a ton of the influencers in the manosphere and many of the ones that we dunk on regularly, that's how they sleep every night. So think about that when you're thinking about their truck nut masculinity.
It does explain some of the late night tweets, though.
Oh, yeah.
Mine are just usually alcohol fueled.
Well, that's the thing with the alcohol fueled. You just get pretty Irish. It's actually pretty entertaining.
Because I'll be sitting here and I'll be like, okay, I'll just check out my Twitter feed and someone did something retarded and I just get the urge to dunk on them. So I just dunk on them. And then suddenly I see that, I had a tweet go viral yesterday.
Congrats.
Yeah, I always have 1 or 2 whenever I do one of those drunk tweets. So yesterday's viral. It's at 105 retweets and 400 likes now.
Uh-huh.
Nice. Since Kenny Rogers only affects men and women, can we finally admit that the other 183 gender identities are made up by liberal college professors desperate for funding so you don't have to get a real job?
I like that one. It's better than mine. Yeah, I'm only at 4 retweets and 73 likes with my self-quarantine journal, although it's spread out all over. Turns out Nick August, I don't know if you know his account. He's actually starting up a little pulp publication. It turns out, like, yeah, the Sphere is starting to get a bunch of writers and normal functioning people again to start doing some things. So we're definitely at the crossroad between, do we go to the lizard people or do we go towards like producing Miller Lite commercials from the 1980s with bros high-fiving? I'm hoping we go the other way.
Well, to be honest with you, I give it like 3 months until someone spurgs out.
3 months? I give it 3 hours. It just happened.
Who spurged out?
Stoyman.
Oh, what's now?
Dude, it's the same thing as normal. He's like, I'm losing followers because I said the truth. Rollo is a cult leader and a narcissist. And then he goes on this big rally cry for more people to join his cult with a huge narcissistic post. And then he puts his masterclass link at the bottom. It was just kind of ridiculous.
Don't you actually have to be a master or something to host a masterclass?
Yeah, I'm going to start treating masterclass the same way I treat alpha. It just tells you right there. If the class is called a masterclass, it's like the guy's account named Alpha Pinnacle of Masculinity in the War Room. Like, all right, how's that working out for you?
Yeah,
that's why I got a Paisley tattoo, by the way. All these guys were getting these super macho, like tribals and fancy tattoos with like skulls and things. I'm like, give me that homoerotic French wallpaper. I'll take that one.
It's been a while since I had Johnny Walker. It was actually nice. I have a bottle of Lagavulin sitting around too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we'll see. We're gonna get started again. We're sticking with beer. You're on Scotch. I'm on beer now. Guinness. Huge fan of Guinness. And there's this Irish beer we have here, Innis, which is beer, but they put it in old Scotch barrels, so you get like a hint of Scotch to it. It's actually kind of nice.
Yeah, it's Innis and Gunred.
That's the one. So I'm a huge fan of it. I can't drink too many of them though.
No, but it's like the one I had now. I went out and I didn't want to buy too many beer cans because they've probably been touched by a bunch of unsanitary fucking barbarians. But so I picked up a Stone Ruination, and it's actually one of my favorite double IPAs.
Ooh, the doubles.
It's 3 deciliters at 8.5% alcohol. And the biggest problem I have with beer, I'm kind of dialed in to like regular strength, like about 5 to 6%.
Yeah.
And you know how it is when you're dialed in to a certain thing? I did the same thing with white wine once because I picked up like 3 bottles, and 2 were kind of these light 8-9%ers. And the last one was a 13% Chardonnay. And so I started one night, I just hammered one of the bottles, I was fine. Then I hammered the other one, I was fine. And then I had the third one, which was 13%. And I hammered that one in the same amount of time because I was dialed in for that drinking speed on white wine and I was sloshed.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that reminds me, if we ever get you down to Canada, we'll get you, there's a beer here, Dieu du Ciel, like Hammer of God. It's a Quebec brand. And they have a double IPA, but they're the same as that. It's every normal beer, it's like IPA plus 4%, or double IPA plus, it's like 14% for a beer. It's absolutely insane. But it tastes so good when I was dialed into the same thing. And then I noticed one day with this 6-pack, I was just sloshed. I'm like, how did that happen?
Yeah, it's just because I like Scotch well enough. It's just if I need to day drink, I'd rather go with a beer.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's more for some reason, I don't understand why. It's more acceptable to have like a glass of wine or a beer with lunch than to ask for a double whiskey.
It is. Well, even the military, that was the official rule. You were allowed 2 beers per day on board, but you weren't allowed hard bar. So I'm sure there's a history to it, but I just don't know what it is.
Well, I kind of understand it though, because if you think about it, like there's a beer, you have to bring a lot of it with you.
Mm-hmm.
But whiskey, you can get a lot drunker off a lot less. Because that used to be, you know how moonshining started in the Appalachian Mountains?
Was that because they just didn't have enough room in their wagons to take too much of it, so they had to make it super strong?
Well, they had to travel with the when they were selling the excess of corn. They had to transport it on pack mules,
Hmm.
and it was just too much to transport on pack mules. But if you take like 3 tons of corn and you make that into whiskey, I don't know the liters exactly, so don't quote me on this, but you can get a lot less whiskey out of it than corn, so it was easier to transport. And if you're doing moonshine, you're not aging it or anything. It's just basically white lightning.
Yeah.
So you just transport it at like you transport it at 80 to 90% alcohol. And then you thin it down to drinking strength when you get there.
Makes more sense to me.
Because you save on transport. I'm guessing that's the same issue with hard bar. It's a lot easier to regulate how many beers someone has had. But I'm guessing it's going to be the same thing as on every ship, that you have like 90% of the crew never have their 2 a day, and maybe they have 4 on the weekend, and then you have that small subset of guys, usually stokers, who are pounding like 6 or 12.
Oh my God, he knows. It is the Stokers, the Stoker table with beer pyramids. You wouldn't know how many days I woke up for a midnight watch. I'd get out there, have a coffee and some eggs before I get up there, and I'd see a beer pyramid with Stoker. The same guys drunk every time. And for some reason, our baby doc. Those are the two.
What's a baby doc? A junior doctor or something?
Yeah. There's the two doctors. There's the one that's a warrant officer, and the other one that's like a master seaman or master corporal. Ours was such an alcoholic. She used to actually steal IV packs to nurse her hangover the next day. She was just ridiculous.
Well, I actually had a friend of mine who was a doctor teach me how to do an IV pack.
Was there much to it? You just put it into your vein, don't you?
Yeah, but I had to learn how. I didn't know how to do that properly.
Well, get a heroin addict and learn the hard way like everybody else. Jesus, man.
Well, they do that in some hospitals. If the trainee nurses doesn't know how to do like blood,
Yeah.
they have a heroin addict do it for them, because the heroin addicts are masters at getting veins.
That sounds like us versus marriage counselors. We're like the heroin addict for marriage counselors. Yeah, they got all their fancy training, but we've been in the trenches. Let me show you. Let me show you how to fix your wedding.
One of my best childhood friends was special forces medic. So he's one of those funny guys, because he's the only guy I know who's actually done a tracheotomy with a ballpoint pen.
What? I thought that was just like an urban legend.
No, I actually did. Yeah, you can do it. I think his exact words were, "You probably shouldn't," but I kind of had to. It was some kind of classified mission he couldn't tell me about.
Fair enough. Actually, here, do you mind carrying over for a second? I gotta run for just a minute.
Yeah, what do I carry about him? We talk about Kenny Loggins killing us all.
You can talk about that or just about booze. I was actually kind of liking hearing more about the moonshining industry.
Okay, well, to get a little. The funny thing is that the first time they actually found distilled alcohol, it comes from the Middle East. And they've also done it a lot in India. But I've always been curious about how it happened, because you kind of see how wine became a thing. That was just some guy who probably forgot grapes or something, or fruit in some form of container, and it just went bad and fermented. And you also have apes who eat fermented fruit and enjoy the buzz of that. So it's not just us. And then you can kind of see how beer happened, because like the early beer was essentially just bread that was a solution in water and then fermented. So I'm guessing what happened is they stored bread in some kind of jar. Water got into it, it fermented, and people actually liked the taste. I don't know why. I mean, the first beer I ever made myself was a beer with one of those Foster's extract kits, and that just tastes like shit. So I don't know why they'd be drinking that. Yeah, I think mead is probably a similar thing, Chest, where it's just something that just ran water into it, and it just fermented by itself. Because spontaneous fermentation is still how some beers are made in Belgium, especially. Like if you go to your Cricks and your Flanders Red, they were just made with some part spontaneous fermentation and fruit. Yeah, when are we getting our assholes tanned? I don't know. How about Wednesday?
Dude, here's the thing that gets me. Speaking of the bronzed asshole thing, so that was AJ, and then Stedman with his "I got an enema" thing, and so, for some reason, it was this weird fascination with shoving things in their ass for the longest time. The part that worries me is like they're fairly big followings, and I can't imagine that all of them are like joke follows. Like, oh, I love to see this guy self-destruct. I have a feeling there's a lot of people that actually like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
I'm not concerned about that. I actually think that's a good thing. Because
In
from
what
an
sense?
evolutionary perspective, you're just going to kill yourself for any chance of having a kid.
Those are the guys that are going to be poly in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm thinking that because I mean, you can't be into that much new agey shit before someone convinces you that your girlfriend having 4 boyfriends is a good thing.
Or an asbestos tampon or something stupid like that.
Yeah, so I just think I think it's a good thing.
Well,
But again,
oh, I don't know how much gossip I want to do. I kind of don't want to, but maybe I should tell you offline.
now we can do it afterwards if you want to. We have about 20 minutes left, I guess, before we have to go. They figured I might do an appearance on the other show too.
Oh, dude, that'll be awesome. I think we're gonna have a good one there. Now that Rollo, he gets a better mic now too, because for the longest time he was so white and everything in his background was black, so he looks like a 40-year-old girl on Tinder, just totally overexposed. Perfect skin. I think he's finally got that dialed in though.
Yeah, well, it's just I'll drop in there too. I don't have much better to do since I'm in locked up, cooped up in my apartment. Some social exposure is good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and so yeah, your girl doesn't live there, so she have to come and see you, and you come see her, right?
You never live with your girl, dude.
Wish you'd have told me that 10 years ago.
Well, it's like the guy who's my hero for how to make a relationship work. Him and his girl, they were both divorced. They just bought 2 apartments in the same building.
Oh, dude.
So each of them has their own apartment that they can do whatever they want in, and they just hang out.
I like that. That's actually really good. Because if you think about it, the only thing keeping them together is that they're providing value to each other. There's no legal ramifications with them separating, no financial ones, nothing. I think it's perfect because they're always giving their A game to each other. That's sweet.
Yeah, but I like that model because I also like having my own space.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a fairly high requirement for my own time, and so does my girl. So that was one of my criteria for a girl is she has to have a life outside of me. You don't want a girl to make you the center of her world.
No, it gets annoying fast.
Yeah, it sounds great, but it's just not a good deal long term because it's exhausting.
Not just exhausting, it saps time from everything. Like you can't go see your friends because she needs you there. You can't go do this because she needs you there. You can't go take a risk because, oh my God, I don't want to lose you. I couldn't lose you. It's essentially, completely focusing on the girl, and all she's giving you back is adulation. It's this mentally unhealthy mix of like borderline personality and antisocial personality all put together. Eef.
So I just like girls who are busy. Like I've always joked that my ideal relationship would be with one of us in jail so we could do a conjugal visit a couple of times a week, and that's about it.
Half joking. Only half joking.
Well, it's just on the basis that if you're the kind of guy who I want to talk to or I want to have an interaction with, you're a busy dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of the guys who I have in my social circle in real life are busy guys. They have a ton of things going on.
Yeah, you have to schedule meets. Same here. I have to fly down to see my buddies a couple times a year, but wouldn't have it any other way. If they just wandered over every day like Kramer, that'd be annoying.
Yeah, it's I hate people who are like if I get them like I get annoyed when my girl texts me like, "Hey, I'm in the neighborhood. Can I drop in?"
Respond 3 hours later. No, crying emoji.
Sorry,
All right.
it was something.
That's fine. I guess we're running on the hour anyway. We're gonna have Rule Zero half an hour. It's on Rolo's channel. We're gonna be talking about how Kenny Rogers completely destroyed feminism in but 2 weeks. So I'll catch you guys on that one. We're gonna go off. Carl and I are gonna have some behind the scenes chit chat here. We'll let you know. We may be tweeting out what we'll find out, but I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for hitting like. Thanks for showing up. We'll see you in half an hour.